Okay, Gage. So, what's up, man? It's nice to have you on here. How would you introduce yourself for people who may not know who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Gage Smith. I'm 22 years old. I'm a fitness coach, fitness and mindset, I like to say. I pretty much help people break through limiting beliefs, create the best physique that they possibly have while building habits that are sustainable for their entire lives, right? Because I feel like fitness is a major thing where
Mm,
I think it's 80-90% of people begin, make a massive transformation, but then fall back into the root of day to day life and just throw all that progress away. So I've spent the
yeah.
past 2 years building up systems, especially online, to help them document and implement that into their lives to break
Mm,
through those limiting beliefs that, hey, like this isn't
mm,
achievable over a lifespan, you know?
mm. So, what would you say are like the most common limiting beliefs?
I would say the most common would probably be that it's difficult. Now, I know that sounds
Mm,
crazy. Like, obviously, it's difficult to get in shape, but once you're in shape, it's not that hard to
mm,
maintain, right? Of course, like a major transformation is going to be difficult to achieve, but once you achieve that transformation from there, as long as you stick to your habits and have like that no quit mentality that I love talking about, that's how you're just going to maintain the course so you don't have to make that transformation
mm.
again.
I think that a major problem for people is to turn it into a lifestyle. That's why the beginning, in my opinion, it's because of the mental. That's what I
Yeah,
think is because
100%.
turning it into a whole new lifestyle. Because for the past 20 years of their lives, they were used to something completely different, and they want to get jacked in 1 year. Like oftentimes, 1 year without a coach, there ain't no chance.
Yeah, there's no chance. I see a lot of people, especially they focus a lot on numbers. It's a big numbers game. Like
Mm,
everybody wants to see the scale move.
yeah.
Everybody wants to see, you know, the diet, but the main thing is just staying consistent. Like if people could
Mm,
just 7 days a week show up every
yeah.
single day and just do something over a
Yeah.
year span, you'll at least see like 6 to 7% improvement. There's no way.
Yeah. I feel like people are trying to have everything perfect from the beginning and trying to be optimal.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you think about it, it's better to make some progress rather than none. And people are trying to be perfect for 3 months and then they quit, rather than struggling for a year, figuring it out, what you like, what you don't like, what you can stick to. And yeah, so
Thousand
many
percent.
people are trying to. Whenever something is not perfect and consistent for a couple of days in a row, they quit. They say the scale stopped moving. It's the scale's fault, not mine.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, oh, my
Yeah,
metabolism, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
So let's start from the beginning. We're gonna get into fitness later on, but what was your childhood like?
Yeah. So my childhood was like very shaky. At first, started off, I grew up in a very small town. It was very like country. There wasn't
Mhm.
like barely anything there. We pretty much had one McDonald's and a Pizza Inn. That was like the two like major places
Mm,
there. So grew up there. High school was very small, but for the most part, I had a stepdad and I had my mom, so we were kind of like
mm,
somewhat a decent family. And then I got up to 14, and my mom ended up passing away. That's where I started getting into fitness because I
mm.
felt like it was preventable. I felt like that didn't have to happen if she
Yeah,
would have been pursuing fitness and like getting in shape. So I took matters up on my hands and started getting other people in shape. Then that's when I saw how, especially around like 15, 16, you could change your entire life just off diet
yeah,
and just doing the small things. So then that's when I like really, I went to college for a year or two and I was just kind of like, this isn't really for me. Um, then from there, I kind of just transitioned straight into coaching. Started out at a gym, couple years, then I took it online. Now I'm just mainly doing coaching online,
mm.
and then as well as YouTube now. So
Yeah. I really love the fact that you mentioned 15, 16, because that's when I started going to the gym at like 15. Man,
yeah,
that completely changed my life, like completely. So definitely, and I feel like a lot of times nowadays you see like 13, 14 year old kids in the gym already at such a young age, and
yeah,
I'm like thinking to myself, what if I started when I was 14, 13? That would be
yeah, for
cool as
sure.
fuck. So it's like nice to see, like pushing more healthy habits to these kids. I feel like it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Get them off the Fortnite and get them in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's one childhood memory that makes you smile?
That makes me smile. Uh, it would probably be the first time I went to the beach because, especially in my hometown, it was very weird because no one really traveled, you know. So
Hmm.
mine would probably be like getting to go to the beach. I remember like I finally got to eat like some legit seafood, and I was like, dude, this is
Yeah.
awesome because before, like, I mean, inland seafood is just not it. So I would say like being able to like actually get out of the state and travel
Mhm.
as a kid was pretty cool. So I would say like that's probably one of my prime memories because every environment I hit that's different, it creates like a new growing phase in your mind because you see like, oh,
Yeah.
this is possible, this is out there, you know. So that was like the
Mm.
major transformation where I was like, all right, I got to get out of my hometown. I got to start doing things with my life.
Yeah. Holy shit, man. So, who did you look up to as a kid?
So I would say I had a couple different people before. I wasn't even really in the fitness space. So I didn't really like, I wouldn't even say I really looked up to anybody. I just knew that like there was higher standards out there. So like I would talk to people at the gym. I was always just trying to learn from people. So like there wasn't, I would say, like one specific figure. I was just
Mm.
trying to like learn from everybody, you know, build my mindset up because of course I didn't really have like a dad figure. So I had to like almost, when you don't have a dad, you got to kind of like reframe
Yeah.
everything that you learn as a man. So you essentially have the basics, right? You know
Yeah.
how to protect and provide, take care of yourself, provide with your nutrition as well. So I would say it was a combination. I always like wanted to hear different perspectives. I didn't want to frame my mindset off like one person's version of thinking because I think we all have
Yeah.
different views of reality. So I was always just like taking in perspectives and then figuring out what I wanted my reality to be.
Hmm. So, what was the reason why you even got into the gym in the first place, like into fitness as a whole? What was it like your interest in it?
Yeah, so it was weird. When I first started getting in the gym, I was no, I was probably like 16 actually. It was for football, right? Advanced PE. And
Hmm. Interesting.
I hated it. I remember like having to show up in the morning. I could not stand it. The weight was heavy. Uh,
Hmm.
it was loud. You know, I was a little kid. You know, I didn't really enjoy it at all. But then as I started seeing progress, I was like, wow, this is the one thing I can show up to every day that it's an
Hmm.
hour of just me just working on myself. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about my schoolwork, which I hated. I didn't have to worry about anything else except just that. And I feel like there's something weird with the gym too, where it pushes you mentally, especially when you're like around
Hmm.
like a positive environment. You like hit that barrier where you're like you get scared, you know? Like if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
doing squats, you're like, dude, I'm kind of scared. Or like, what if I get injured, or what if I can't get that rep? So that's cool because you can translate
Yeah.
that into like your business or your personal life, whatever it may
Hell yeah.
be, and you it translates into every area. So it's like a massive just cycle of just
Yeah.
pushing yourself.
Yeah, I feel like the gym is like an upward spiral for the majority of young guys. If like there's at least one productive thing that they can do with their time, it's probably the highest ROI would be going to the gym, you know?
For sure, for
That's
sure.
in my opinion. So, were you always active as a kid? Like, did you do any other sports before that? I know you mentioned football. Anything else?
So I played basketball, but for a little while, but I wasn't very good. Like I wasn't very good, but I still enjoyed it. So it was more like I guess recreational based, just like playing sometimes. Like I was never like really like locked in on a specific sport. But I would say I where I grew up in the country, I was more just riding four wheelers, hunting, doing all types of like
Yep.
weird stuff like that. So I was active, but I was always like super skinny. Like I was very
Mm.
skinny. And then when I started like 16, 17, that's when I like went from I think I was 142 pounds to like 180 something. And that was a lot for me because I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Mm. So, what were like your biggest mistakes in the beginning when you were getting into the gym? Let's say.
I would say probably my biggest mistake was 100% probably diet, honestly. Like I never ate whole foods at
Uh,
all. I would always like I remember I had this house when I'd first moved out, and we'd show up every single day there, and we would just go out and get some sort of fast food. Like we would go out and get like dude Taco Bell, Sheets, like any gas station. We would just like go out there. That's when we would
Yeah.
eat. And like I was training hard, and I feel like I had good form. Like I had a decent amount of knowledge at the time, but I just couldn't catch up because my nutrition. I was probably only eating like 2,000 calories, and that just wasn't enough to grow. So probably that first year, it was awesome mentally because I got to push myself, but I probably didn't make nearly as much progress as I should have.
I feel like also, you know, in the beginning, for example, I thought that, you know what? I don't know if you Americans have it, kebab.
Yeah.
I thought that shit was healthy in a tortilla and with all the fucking soy sauce bullshit that they put into it. I thought that was healthy. I was eating that for like a year straight, right? When I was trying to be a powerlifter. Bro, I now look back at those mistakes and I'm just like laughing. But again, would I go back in time and tell my younger self that? No, because I had to go through that learning lesson, you know? I had to experiment. I experimented with so much stuff. I thought that sushi was healthy for some reason, you know? I thought so many things, but I learned with time, you know? So I feel like those mistakes are kind of like vital because when you look back at it, it got you to where you are now.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Did you have any fitness idols when you were starting to go into the gym? What were you looking up to?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say, I mean, of course, everybody I feel like respects C-Bomb.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was an idol, but I loved like how he was so consistent. Like he always tracked his food. I got a lot of recipes from him, and then I kind of just got to watch him train and like his mindset towards training. So I would say C-Bum was definitely like a major influence. And then I mean, I still followed like all the core guys like Jesse James West and all them, but I always felt like they were more entertainers than like hardcore
Yeah.
guys. But I'd say like C-Bum was a big one. Yeah, probably just C-Bum. Greg Doucette was pretty good. So I was always pretty mainstream fitness. I never like I wasn't that deep on like YouTube where I found like all the small channels.
But so we touched upon diet, right? So what would you say are like the most important things in terms of dieting, in terms of food that someone you should know?
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody has different like allergens too, like especially with digestion. So like some people they don't digest dairy very well, gluten and bread, certain proteins like maybe like pork or sausages, stuff like that. So I would say like starting from the ground up with like a couple sources, whether that be like red meat, chicken, some good quality eggs. You can, especially cheese. Like cheese is good if you can digest it because you can get like different versions of cheese. So much to work with. But I think also people need to really focus on carbs as well because sometimes, especially throughout the day, if you carb load heavy, especially with stuff like bread or especially like it drags you down tremendously. I would say like with diet, I always load it very protein heavy in the morning because it's satiating and then it's not that hard to digest. Because I mean, if you eat like 3 eggs versus like a pizza, I mean, it's night and day different for your energy levels. So I would say like, especially throughout the morning, keeping it light, get some exercise in, and then throughout the day, you can kind of eat heavier as you get like more of your work blocks done. So a lot of people, if they're working daytime jobs, get some food in the morning, a little bit, boost your energy, something light. And then throughout the evening, when you're starting to like get done with your work, then that's when you can really lean in and, really get some calories in. Plus, a lot of people like to say like, oh, digestion keeps me up. I think it varies. For me, it makes me tired. So I think it helps me sleep.
Honestly, whenever you eat like a big carb meal, then the brain fog starts kicking in. You're like, you want to just hibernate, after that. It's like, I usually like to keep carbs like after my workouts or after my work is done. It's usually towards the end of the day, usually. But yeah, honestly. And also, I want to ask you about fasting. How do you implement fasting? Because I like to fast a lot of times. But how do you, if you
So
use it?
me, it's kind of weird. I implement fasting off the night before. So if I had like a massive meal the night before, I'm gonna fast till probably at least like 10 or 11. Versus if I feel like I ate earlier the day before, I'm gonna probably break my fast, especially if I work out around like 9 or 10. So I judge it very like off my energy levels. Like if I have like say coffee and I'm fasting and I feel like I'm on top of the world at like 10 or 11 a.m., I don't want to break that fast until I start like losing some mental clarity or start losing some like boost of energy that I have. So I do fasting based on like my diet either the night before or throughout that morning.
Mm. For people that may not know, what are the main benefits of fasting?
I would say for sure is mental clarity. I
Yeah.
get like so much work, especially like if you have a computer or you want to do some deep work, whether that's reading, journaling, meditation, anything like that. Keeping that fast going is just going to boost all of those tremendously. And it kind of sounds crazy because like if you've never really done fasting, it just sounds like kind of silly, like, oh, it's not going to be that big of a change. But I truly get the best of my work done when I'm fasted and I've done some exercise. Because I feel like that's when my dopamine levels are the highest from that exercise. And I don't have any carbs, like you were saying with the brain fog. Those
Yeah.
are like, so definitely improved focus, my cognition. I definitely feel better with that. And then I think it also helps my digestion too, because once I break my fast and I get some protein in, I feel like the rest of my day, I'm just able to digest more because like I have that insulin spike, I have that metabolism increase. So it's kind of like it depends. Some people break their fast like very slowly. I usually would just do like some sort of protein to break it. But
Yeah, you know, a lot of people. I heard this one quote like, "You don't usually know how bad you feel until you try feeling good," or something like that. I'm probably butchering the quote, but it's like people that always like they have an office job and they bring like fucking 6 sandwiches with them, and then they eat
100%.
fucking bread with what do they put in sandwiches? Just some shitty ham and like some low quality stuff, and then they wonder why by 11 a.m. they're like tired. They feel like they feel like sluggish, etc. Even if they slept 8 hours, and then they drink coffee with milk and sugar in it, and it's like they wonder why they're always tired. Try feeling good for
100%.
once.
Yeah, and it's like especially I don't know where are you from again? What country?
I'm from Czech Republic. That's
Okay,
the middle of Europe.
yeah, for sure. So especially in America, like there's this myth of like people like kind of will like make fun of you for eating good. And I know
Yeah,
that sounds crazy, but like
that's
if you
crazy.
tell somebody like, oh, I eat, let's say 96% lean ground beef, or
Yeah,
I'm eating steak or something, they'll one either say, oh, that's so expensive, like I can't afford that. Or
yeah.
two, they're gonna be like, how do you eat that? That tastes like crap. So it's like in America, there's very few people that are willing to try that diet because they have this like perception of like it's miserable. So it's
Yeah.
like most people are probably living at like 20% of their actual capacities mentally and physically. And it's kind of scary. Like it's very scary.
Oh, 100%, bro. Even like here in Europe, it's actually just the same. Like what you described, it's just the same here, to be honest. Whenever, like, you know what mesmerizes me always is like parents won't think that it's weird for their son to eat Doritos or Snickers. They will say that, that's okay. But if their son starts eating 10 eggs a day or starts eating some beef liver every day or something like that, they will start like trying to. I've heard like so many guys that their parents are restricting them from eating more than like fucking 4 eggs or something like that. And I'm like, eggs are something so healthy for your. It's protein, it's your testosterone, because the cholesterol in it's actually like healthy for you. Instead of, but if but he said also like if I ordered a pizza, my parents wouldn't say anything about it. But whenever I want to make a big bowl of eggs, they have a problem with it. It's like
they're like, what are you doing? Like that's so bad. You're gonna affect your whatever. Like they start like saying
Yeah.
all these crazy like
Yeah.
prophecies about what's gonna happen, and it's like what?
Yo,
Like,
I don't know if you saw that that bullshit. It wasn't like for an official study, but it was from, how do you call it? It was like, okay. Anyways, it was some news, right? That eating more than 3 eggs a week will
yeah,
fucking kill you or some bullshit. And I'm like,
1000%.
so many that went viral, right? And so
Yeah,
many
people just believe
middle-aged
it.
people. So
They
many
believe it.
middle-aged people believe it. Mostly it was middle-aged people believe that 3 eggs a week will kill you. I'm like,
Yup.
like so many people believe that. That was so
It's like
crazy.
stay away from the eggs.
Yeah,
Stay away from the
yeah,
eggs. It's crazy.
yeah, man. Fucking, I eat like 10+ eggs a day because I just enjoy that, as a food.
Yeah.
But also I eat beef, etc. Also, speaking of meat, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the vegan versus carnivore diet? These are like the two extremes, but the vegan and carnivore, what do you think about both of these?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird because they both have different outputs, right? Because carnivore can be very beneficial because, like, of course, you're gonna have like the improved energy, mental
Yeah.
focus, similar to fasting, but you're also gonna be lacking in a lot of like micronutrients, vitamins.
Mm,
So I think if people can do carnivore and still implement vitamins and maybe like a green powder, I don't even know if they'll
mm.
even allow that on that diet. I don't even know. I think so. I've never really done carnivore, but I would say like carnivore is good if you can still keep your vitamins and your micronutrients and everything up because you're not going to have those greens in there. But vegan can be very beneficial as far as like what's the word I'm looking for? Not swelling, but I'm totally blanking right now.
Inflammation is that?
Inflammation,
Yeah.
yeah. So vegan can be very good for keeping inflammation down because certain meats
Mm,
can spike inflammation, but that's also the other hand is how are you going to get in that amount of protein,
yeah.
especially as a man, if your body weight, let's say, is like big boy 250, you got to eat at least 225, primarily like in between
Mm,
225 and 275. That's a lot of protein in vegan.
yeah.
That is a lot. So, I mean, I think everybody personally should have like a mix of everything. I think
Yeah.
like
I want just quickly, if you could explain inflammation for the people who may not know what that is.
Yeah, so essentially, like, depending on how your body digests food, you can get like a blood sugar, insulin spike, a bunch of different things that will increase inflammation throughout your body, right? So,
Mm,
especially like, say, like sugar, right? That's why when you eat sugar, you get that blood sugar spike, and then you start feeling like maybe your hands start sweating or just random stuff like that
mm,
that you think's completely normal is caused by that inflammation. That's why if you eat vegan for a little while, you start to notice, like, especially with skin too, like a lot of people think acne is just like
mm.
genetic, like, and it is.
No, it
Don't get me
ain't.
wrong. Some people can like have that, but you can definitely reduce the risk of stuff like that depending on how clean your meat that you're eating is, as well as like, of course, vegetables, starches through your carbs, whatever. So I think inflammation is completely dependent on the quality of food that you're eating because it's not
Mm,
necessarily like the type of food because you could eat like a steak but then the other steak's not like raised with the right stuff and it might inflame you like the next
yeah.
day you might wake up and you feel like your skin's like very swollen and like it's just weird. You
Mm,
start to notice small things with your diet, like what inflames you, especially like stuff like MSG or fast food. Like if you eat fast food, odds are you're gonna feel like crap because you're gonna be inflamed because you're not being able to digest, the MSG, the soy, all that stuff.
mm. Yeah, I heard about, when we were speaking about the carnivore diet, I heard about this guy, Dr. Anthony Chaffee. I don't know if you heard about him
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
He was on the carnivore diet for the past 6 or 7 years, something like crazy like that. He's like, the thing that mesmerized me about that was most is that he never got sore in the past like 5, 6, 7 years. Like he never felt sore the day after because of the extremely like like eating 300 grams of protein a day is kind of easy when that's the only thing you're eating. So it's like the body like regenerates like really quick, which is like probably an upside to it, I guess. But then again, as you mentioned, you're probably like losing out on a lot of the other like amino acids, a lot of the vitamins from other foods, outer macronutrients. So I do feel like there maybe for a period of time, maybe that can be beneficial a lot. But honestly, I just like to keep it simple, like like just the real food diet: meat, eggs, cheese, nuts, and like these types of foods, maybe potatoes. If people could have eaten it a couple of thousand years ago, I think that's pretty healthy. People didn't have like whey protein, vanilla chip, or Oreos or some shit like that before. That's my take on it, to be honest. So, what's like one meal that people usually consider healthy when in reality it's the opposite? It's bad.
I would say that's a good one. For me, I've always thought pork personally is a scam, bro. I think pork is a scam. I think pork, it's super like fat dense. It's very inflammatory. So I would say like stuff like that would be something of the sort of like bacon, like I'm eating like bacon and eggs. And it's like, cool, the eggs were good, but you just soak eggs in like all the fat from the bacon to like give it flavor. So the next thing you know, like they're really ingesting like a lot of like bacon grease with the eggs. So I would say like certain meats that are like super fatty, if they're not drained, like if the fat's not drained, can be like very just overkill with the fat content in them.
Yeah. And honestly, so many people would think that bacon is perfectly healthy. And even I, not that long ago, I still like ate bacon, but I stopped eating pork as a whole when I heard that like pork is basically the only fucking animal that a pig is the only animal that doesn't sweat its toxins out, which is like kind of scary to think about. That's probably like in Islam they don't eat pork, to be honest, and it does make kind of sense. I'm not saying never eat it, but honestly, if you have the option to choose chicken or beef, I'd go with those, to be honest. Any day of the week, to be honest.
I think they're much easier to like eat, much easier to spice.
Yeah.
They don't feel as heavy. Like to me, like pork, like if I eat bacon, it's like very heavy. And I like eating pork. Like it's not like I'm pork hater, but I think pork's a scam as far as like dieting. Like, I think dieting, like people should just eat like chicken, beef's pretty good, bison. You can get like other different bison. There's boar. There's elk. There's all types of different.
Holy
meats.
shit! Like bison, I've never like saw that like in a store here, or like even elk. To be honest, I don't think I've ever saw that. We have like shark meat and stuff like that, which that was like the weirdest tasting meat. Honestly, like, but like some fish can be good. I don't know if like shark meat is necessarily like really a good option. I'd have to check that out. I only ate it once in my life, but that was cool. So why do you think that there are so many people that are obese nowadays? And it's not just in the US, as people say, but it's honestly in so many European countries. And in my country, also, so many people are just fat, blatantly fat. And like, why do you think so many people are more fat nowadays? Because if you took it 30 years ago, 40 years ago, the percentage would be way less in the majority of countries.
Yeah. I think the world has just gotten soft on our standards on health. That's what I think. Like, I remember when I was growing up, we had like tests that we had to do. We had to, run a mile at a certain time. We had to do a certain amount of push-ups, or you failed and you had to come back and do that again. And then like, especially I feel like the older generations, they had to do that as well. But then once you get older, there's no standard, right? Like who's going to come and tell you like, hey, you have to go to the gym or else that. And then like as the rates started going up, because obesity is just like on the rise, like especially with more fast food coming in, people just stopped like putting in effort because they saw life as like being difficult when they did have to do it. So it's like, oh, I can go here and get a, McRib or whatever McDonald's is serving for like $5 or
Yeah.
whatever. And then, or I could go to the grocery store, have to get the food, take it home, wash it, cook
Yeah.
it, do the dishes. So you think like those two frames and mindset, and it's like most people are already married too, right? So you got to think
Yeah.
like they already have their partner, they already have their kids. Like, what are they working towards? So, like, I feel like it's mainly just like
Mm.
purposeless action. Like, they don't have a purpose to stay healthy until they have a health problem because everyone has problems until you have a
Mm.
health problem. Then you just have one problem.
Mm. Yeah. Holy shit. That's an interesting take on it. What do you think about Ozempic?
That's the weight loss medication, right?
Yeah. I heard a lot of bad things about it.
See, that's kind of circles back to that take I made earlier
Yeah.
about like you can make a massive transformation, but if you
Mm.
don't build the habits and you don't build the
Yeah.
sustainability, people just fall right back in. So, like for instance,
Yeah.
Ozempic, like cool, that's gonna help accelerate some people. But if they're not like working out and building muscle around it and like changing their diet, dude, like once
Yeah.
they hop off that, their joints are gonna feel like crap because they just dropped like 30% of muscle. They have no
Yeah.
muscle built up around it. So it's just empty skin. And
Yeah.
then they don't have a diet. Like they don't I feel like probably 90% of people have zero idea on nutrition. And it's kind of sad. And it's not necessarily their fault. But at the same time, like someone could go out to eat like a healthier restaurant. Say they get a steak with
Yeah.
a side of asparagus, per se. They should be able to take how they feel off that meal versus McDonald's and
Yeah.
be like, why did that steak and asparagus make me feel like I can
Mm.
wake up in the morning and not feel bloated, not feel low energy. So I feel like a lot of it's just like people just gotta, figure out a purpose to like
Mm.
actually want to get healthy.
Yeah. Holy shit. I want to talk about something. This is like, I don't know if you've heard of like term like nah, how do you call it? Yeah, ab inflation, or like, like in the 80s and 90s and even in
Yeah.
the 70s, etc. Having a six pack, having abs would be that cool thing. Almost no one had a six pack. We're like, it's that
Yeah.
one guy in high school, that big football player, right? That had a six pack, and every girl wanted him because he had a six pack.
Yeah.
Now almost every dude has a six pack, so now the sort of like the standard has risen. Now you got to be a huge and jacked, right? And now you see so many like guys starting to take TRT or HRT at fucking 18,
Yeah.
which is like the standard has risen, right? Because there are more gym girls, more people are getting into it, which is a good thing. But also we have this ab inflation. Like, what do you think about it? Do you think that having a six pack is like a common thing nowadays, or is it becoming that slowly?
Oh yeah, 100%. And like I also think like a lot of people will. I mean, I use it for content, of course. Like everybody wants a six pack. It's viewable, but I think also it's good, but it's bad because of course you should want a six pack, but then also, especially you should cycle your body through phases of growth too. Like where you still keep a six pack, like you still have like a six pack, but it's not like shredded to the gills. Like some of these kids are just like completely just ripped and shredded, and that's cool. But trying to sustain that over like a 5-year period, it's going to be very hard to like gain muscle and like especially as a man, testosterone levels when you're that low body fat, very difficult to keep your test high. So I mean, I think it's good to keep abs and stay lean and do as much as you can with it, but I don't think people should be walking around like steak ready 24/7, especially mentally. There's so many like mental health problems, especially in like bodybuilders if they stay like that for a long period of time. That's why like once they hit that show, they go and crush some donuts, crush some food, start bringing that body weight back up because they feel so drained mentally and physically. So it's like I think people should just see what works their body, like
Yeah. I feel like nowadays, like, like usually, like you'd think that people go to the gym to be healthy, to have a functional body. Nowadays, so many dudes, they think that because they're muscular, they're masculine. So many dudes are so feminine that they go to the gym not to be healthy and strong and have a functional body. They go to the gym so that they can look cute, or they can have like these muscles as decorations so that girls want them, even though they feel like shit, even though they don't feel good, even though they, but they actually they put more effort into their looks from the outside rather than how they feel, like feeling healthy, feeling like you wake up in the morning and you have a morning wood because you eat actually good food, and not because you eat 50 grams of whey protein with milk, and then you're trying to dirty bulk, So I feel like, I don't know. Do you feel like nowadays, like the gym isn't like about health, but it's more like about decoration on the body, just like based on looks?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with the, like, how do I even say it? I would say like the TikTok culture of just like, like, do you remember the stage of like the mogging, like
Yeah.
which is cool and all, but most people have like zero personal development. And
Yeah.
it's like you can be ripped, you can have abs, you can be jacked,
Yeah.
but if you have zero habits, you have zero personal development, the gym is not a positive experience for you because you're not being able to take it into other areas of life. And that's like what the end goal of the gym is to improve yourself mentally and physically. People always leave out the mental part. I don't know why, because there's a big barrier of like pushing through if you're training hard those like last few reps. Because then like you still, even on the days you don't want to show up, you show up to something. So it's like if you have a business or you have a girlfriend, whatever, you're still showing up to them the same way that you did, those last few reps, or just to the gym in general. So I think people leave out the mental side, and then once they start tapping into it, they're like, oh my gosh, there's like a whole nother side of this that I didn't know existed.
It's just pain tolerance. That's like the one of the hardest things. And also resisting pleasure, like resisting eating the fucking food that it's bad. And you know that the only pleasure that you're gonna gain from it is the 100 seconds whilst eating it. And as soon as the food is done, the pleasure is gone. And it's like some people, like, they take that exchange on a daily basis, because if you eat a pizza once a year, you know what? I think you're gonna be absolutely fine. If you eat a pizza 1,000%. Once a day or once a week, even, I think that's gonna leave a lot of potential on the table. You're actually like shooting yourself in the foot that way. Yeah, I do feel like it does take a real toll on the mental when you're taking something so seriously that you're willing to put away those Snickers bars that you have in the fridge and all of that, throw it away, and actually fill your food, fill your environment with healthy foods.
Yeah, 100%. And it's crazy too, because like almost 95% of serotonin is produced in our gut, which is like the happy chemical in our brains. So you think like the majority of people, if they're putting pizza in their gut, like think about like,
oh shit,
there's just no way to, unless you're using pizza. Like I've done pizzas before, like if I'm running like a half marathon or something like that, and used it as fuel throughout that run. And I didn't feel great like the first like 30 minutes, but I burned it off. But like, say you're just like sitting at home and you eat a pizza, like there's no way to feel good. Like there's no way.
Holy shit.
Versus like ground beef or, like a meat, some sort of like meatball, like meat, rice, beans, whatever. Like you're going to feel way better off that than like a pizza.
Yeah. What I used to do with, like, I called it the willpower training. My favorite ever snack would be, ever since I was a kid. Do you have Kinder Buenos? Kinder Bueno.
Kinder?
Yeah.
Is that chocolate?
Yeah. Anyways.
So there's Kinder, like the eggs here.
Yeah.
I don't know if
interesting.
you're familiar with that.
Anyways, it's like, do you have Twix bars? Kinder Buenos are just bigger Twix bars from Kinder, whatever. Anyways, those were my favorites for like the past 15 years, fucking ever since I was a little kid. Anyways, ever since I was a fucking toddler, I was eating that shit, and it cost like $1. So usually, when I start taking the gym more seriously, is I buy a Kinder Bueno and I place it on my desk, and I try to resist it, you know. And sometimes like 2 days, and then I just like eat it in the middle of the night because I just saw it when I went to take a piss in the middle of the night, and I just see it, I just eat it, you know. But after a while, I remember one day I had that Kinder Bueno on my desk for about a month, and I took a look at it, and I see it looks identical to the first day, which just shows real food gets spoiled, right? Real food goes bad. The fact that this artificial sugary colored bullshit looks exactly the same just made me not want to eat it, because that just showed me like, what the fuck did they put into it that it doesn't go bad after a month? And I left it open, like, not like, you know. So it's like, fucking hell, that just made me not want to eat it anymore. But like, yeah, man, if you can resist that, if you can have it right in front of your eyes for like 30 days, and then you just take a look at it, I just threw it in the fucking trash can. I didn't even want to smell it, right?
Yep. I'll leave you with a quick story real quick. So my grandpa always ate McDonald's. This guy was a diehard McDonald's eater. He loved it. So one day I was up in his room because he had asked me to get something like out of like their closet. I think we were playing a board game or something. And he was like, hey, go up there and get whatever that board game was. So he goes up there. I'm looking for the board game. This jacket falls right from behind this board game. And I'm like, I'm going to pick it up, and a bag of McDonald's fries falls out of this jacket, right? Like a small McDonald's fry. And they look exactly the same as like if you went in the restaurant to get them. And I asked him, I was like, how long has it been since you've worn that jacket? And he was like, it's been like at least 5 years because it was in the back of the closet.
What the fuck?
That shows you just how powerful those preservatives are that are in our food. God. And people don't question that.
God,
so think about that versus like our, we must just have like some amazing gut acid because like they look the exact same. Like they didn't change color. They were still just soggy fries for 5 years. That's
Holy
insane.
shit.
After that, I was like, I don't want to eat McDonald's fries anymore. I don't really eat fries.
Shit, dude.
Crazy,
that just like made my skin crawl, bro, on my back, bro. What the? I can just picture that, like, holy shit.
100%.
So going away from food, let's talk about supplements. When do you think is the right time for someone to start taking supplements, and what supplements should they start taking, and after what while of going to the gym?
Yes, I mean, I think everybody should take creatine, especially. People like to talk like, of course, like you're going to increase lean mass, you're going to have, water retention, so you're going to feel bigger. But the cognitive benefits of creatine, I think on your brain, creatine is very, very good. I think it saturates very well. I think, especially when I'm on creatine, I think better, especially in like flow state. Like when I'm speaking, I feel like I'm a way better speaker. So I think creatine should be essential in pretty much everybody as long as they drink water. Creatine, protein powder, I think should only be used primarily if like you have a major protein deficiency. Like if you're heavier set, or maybe you're having problems digesting food, then I think like I think everyone should have some protein powder, like a good one, like maybe it's made from like grass fed, cows, and it's doesn't have any sweeteners, or there's some that are like actual food-based proteins where it's like it's made from like rice, it's made from beef, eggs. Like there's some egg-based proteins that are actually like pretty decent. So I think like protein powder, basic creatine, pre-workout, I feel like should probably be avoided for a little while. I don't think pre-workout's needed, but I mean, if it gets some people in the gym, cool. Like same with coffee. Like if it's like used the right way versus like the kid with, sitting in his car
Yeah.
double scooping that just wants the high off of it. Like, because some
Yeah.
people work like construction or,
Mm.
they're doing something very physical and they might just be
Yeah.
tired. So it could benefit some people, but if you're young and you have testosterone, you're sleeping well, you don't really need it. But
Yeah.
I feel like some like older people, it could definitely benefit if it's like a good one. Like if it's just like
Yeah.
natural based, you know.
I was going really dirty with fucking pre-workouts when I was 16. I was trying to be a powerlifter, right? And I had some pretty good weights, but I was almost 200 pounds, and I'm 150. So I basically lost about 40 something pounds because I was 190 something, almost 200. And bro, the shit that I was eating, like the kebabs, the pizzas, that was like the tip of the iceberg. But even like protein shakes with the milk, right? And fucking all of that disgusting bullshit. But like the pre-workouts, I was a crack addict for pre-workouts. Like I have made an addiction to it because whenever I'd go to the gym without a pre-workout, I'd convince my mind that I felt like shit.
Yep.
And whenever one scoop wasn't enough, I'd put 2.5 scoops, some workouts even 3 when I tried for a PR.
Yeah.
And you know what's the funniest? The days where I put 2 scoops, I didn't get any PRs. The days where I get PRs are when I had a coffee in the morning and I slept 8 hours.
Yep.
Really. And maybe I had 4 eggs before bed, and my body produced cholesterol from testosterone from that cholesterol from the eggs overnight. And it's like, if just eat maybe 4 eggs like an hour or 2 before sleep, you sleep for like 6, 7, 8 hours, maybe 9, depending on your body. And then if you need to, you can have a coffee. And honestly, that's the days when I had a PR, when I was like actually feeling good,
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, man, I would never recommend someone to take pre-workouts.
Yeah, because once you experience like that level, like especially the mental focus, it's very difficult to refrain from it. Because you're like, you can take a pre-workout with like alpha GPC or lion's mane extract, and you can supplement those on the side. But I mean, still like that with caffeine and like L-citrulline for the pump and Vaso Drive, nootropics, like they're just different level. And once you like experience it, you're like, because you don't burn out as quick sometimes. Like it's just such a more like endurance based supplement. You just like don't want to get off of it.
Also, with the sugar in it, which it just gives you brain fog in the middle of the workout. You're on TikTok and you don't even realize it.
Yeah,
and I was like, what the fuck, man? Yeah. You know what? The only maybe like situation, like maybe take like half a scoop or 1 scoop of pre-workout. And honestly, if you're going to the gym and you've slept well, don't take the pre-workout before the gym. Take the pre-workout like in the middle of the workout, like 1 hour into the workout when you've already exhausted yourself and you've already tried your max, and then now you're actually trying to like get the rest of the workout, but you maybe are exhausted because you weighed really high on weights. So 100%. With high intensity, now you're fucking exhausted and you still got some exercise to do. Then maybe take like a small dose of it and do it once in a while, to like help you like finish the workout on like without half-assing it. That's what I would. That's the only way I would use pre-workouts. But even then, I wouldn't do it, to be honest. Bro, I'm traumatized, bro, for that addiction. Like, bro, I literally was skipping gym because I ran out of pre-workout, bro. The gym wasn't even about the gym. It was about the high from the pre-workout, bro.
Exactly. Yep.
So I'm touched up on sleep a little bit. How important is sleep, and how do you optimize sleep?
Yes, I think sleep's by far like number one. Sleep is by far number one, especially for recovery, cognition, especially like when I don't sleep more than 6.5 hours, even if it's like 5.5, I feel like I don't remember things as well. I forget things throughout the day. Maybe I'm nowhere near as sharp as I should be. So I think like at least 6.5 to 8 hours in that window is like boom. Maybe if you did something like significant, like deadlift max or something, like you could go 8 to 9. I've seen people do 9 and like enjoy it, but I think it depends on who you are. For me, like 7 to 8's perfect. If I can get like 7 and like 7.5 quality, like that for me is perfect. 8, sometimes I can wake up a little bit groggy, like I slept a little too much, but like 6, even 6.5 just feels so much better than 5.5 to 6. So like even those small like increments. But now I've been getting more invested in the sleep, like getting like the mouth tape, the nose tape. Like
Yeah.
you can do so much with sleep that like they're figuring out now to optimize it even more. So I mean, eventually maybe like 6.5 to 7 will be optimal just with like certain things, who knows?
Yeah, one of the best things that actually improved my sleep so much, and it's like something so stupid, but it actually, I usually get about 6, 7 hours of sleep nowadays. Even though sometimes I do have days when I go to sleep at 2 a.m. and I have to wake up at 4. Sometimes I have like those extremes, but I try to minimize it, right? It's because of work, etc. But the main thing that actually improved my sleep efficiency, and if you have the Oura ring, I used to have that. I lost it, unfortunately. But if you have that, there's such a thing like sleep efficiency. Like you have hours of bedtime and then you have sleep efficiency. How many of those hours of bedtime you were actually asleep? The main thing that actually improved my sleep efficiency by like fucking 10-15%. Something that Nate Belmar said, which was drinking 1 hour before bed, stop drinking like cold water and start drinking like room temperature water or warm water. Because for some reason, stopping drinking cold water just helped my sleep so much. And it was like, I never knew about that.
Yeah,
but fucking hell, I did that for about a week. Like literally after like the second day, I could see like on my Oura ring, like that's not a coincidence, Like a week in a row, my sleep efficiency by 10% every single night than it was my average before that. I was like, holy shit, I'm only gonna drink like warm water before bed, So that was like a
there's
thing.
people now, like especially with like the teas and stuff like that, like the bedtime teas. Like that stuff apparently is like very good. I guess it's like the warm nature of it, like being able to like have the warm temperature. I guess it'd be essentially the same as taking a warm shower versus like a somewhat cold shower. Like your body just like kind of wakes up a little bit. Like it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Sleep is actually a weird thing to try to study.
Yeah, it's kind of like a deep topic.
Mm.
I feel like everybody has their own perspectives. Like some people are gonna be like, "Oh, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. You need 8 hours," and then there's gonna be like someone else that's like, "Oh, 6 hours is fine for me." So it's like a big like. I don't think there's really like a specific right answer.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
like
Just
personal.
test out your own body and see what feels good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like don't just like sleep 4 hours a night because this guy told you to, and now you actually stop enjoying life as much because you're limiting yourself to that, and your testosterone is lower, and you can't get your dick up, and it's like all these different things. I'm like, dude, try out your body. Just like don't. They are listening to some fitness influencer like he's God, whereas you have different bodies. Different things that your body can handle, for example. So
100%.
that would be my take on it, to be honest. So let's say you have like the worst day. You wake up, a headache, tired. How do you get through the days where you really don't feel like it?
I would say the days I don't feel like it are the days where you like really have to put out the most effort. Like most of the times, like the days I don't want to wake up, I'll do like an extra something, that sucks. Like I'll always add in more. Like say like I wake up and I've only slept like 5-6 hours because I don't want to break my wake up time. If I've only slept 5 to 6 hours and I go out and I do push-ups and like I'm sore, like some days are like chest days, like the chest days before, like I can barely do some of those push-ups. like I'll hit a wall and it's like so bad because if like, if you've hit failure the day before, like you're pretty
Yes.
sore. And some days I'll hit a wall
Mm.
and then I'll usually do like 2, maybe 3 sets, so I'll like
Yeah.
ramp up the routine on the days that like I don't want to wake up. So like if one day I feel like crap, I'm doing for sure an extra long cold shower. I'm making sure I hydrate more. I'll drink more water. I'll add in more salt. I'll journal more.
Mm.
I'll always just like try to, usually my routine will take me like 30 minutes. I'll try to make it
Yeah.
like 45, 50, and then just like calm my thoughts down. Like walks help me tremendously, especially like if I have a lot to do that day. I'll just go on a quick 5-minute walk, leave my phone, and just like try to calm myself down. Like breath work. Breath work is essential. Breath work, especially just like in through your nose, out through
Meditation.
your
Yeah.
mouth on a walk, and just calm yourself down, and then just take it like smallest problem that you possibly could, even if it's just, conquering the smallest win. That's just how you get your foot in the door. And your brain will automatically like adjust to what's going on because I'm sure you've heard the quote, like we suffer more in our minds than in our reality, right? So our brains are going to try to
That's true.
from tackling that task. And most of the time
Yes.
it's going to be like, oh, this is going to suck. But then you do, and it's really not that bad. Like some of your best workouts are going to come from the days when you feel like you're going to have a horrible workout. You're like, oh, the weight's going to feel so heavy today. I didn't eat. I slept like crap. And then you have a banger workout and you're like, what just happened? Like I just reset the entire playing field. So it's like, you just got to increase your routine and do some extra. You got to sit with your thoughts that like, hey, today isn't going the best so far, but I have to focus on the present. The present moment's the only thing we can control. So like if I was having a bad day right now on this talk with you, I would be like, all right, I need to, explain things well. I need to focus on what I can do to end the night net positive. Like you want to end everything net positive. Come out with a positive on everything.
Holy shit, like double down. That's like something I didn't think about. Holy shit, do something extra, yeah. That I actually never thought about that. Like on the days when you're tired, do even more. That's like actually pretty genius, man. Holy shit. So then that raises the question: why do people quit?
Their why's not strong enough. So like everybody has a why, right? Everybody has a why. Most people use external factors as motivation.
Can I interrupt you real quick? I feel like you have a why, like in the first year of the gym or something like that, but after a time, at least for me, I have more like a why not. Like stopping going to the gym is like so stupid for me because I feel so good and I don't want to stop feeling good. But first of all, like the people that have been fat all their life, they don't know how it feels like to feel good. So that they need a why. Now we have like a why not. So I feel like keep going. So
I think like why people quit is they don't have an alternate outcome. So like for me, if I was going to the gym and I wanted to stick to it, what I would create is the complete opposite plan. So like if I wanted to go to the gym, I wanted to get fit, I wanted to keep my diet a certain way, say for my family, right? Like say I saw someone in my family get sick and I was like, I can't do that to my kids. What I would then do is transition into what I don't want my life to look like. So I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to be in the hospital with my family sitting there wishing they could help me and put them through that. I don't want to feel miserable every day. And I would put that on a list and I would hang it somewhere. And it'd be like the cold hard truth. Like if I don't show up even 3 times a week for an hour for myself, this is what's going to happen. And most of the time it does, right? Like people can delay those health problems until they pop up like 10, 15 years down the road. And it's like, you've already done the damage. Now you have to spend, ignorance, regret, trying to figure out and, pay off that debt of putting your body through all that stress, because your body wants to be healthy. Like your body doesn't just naturally shut down. Like people do this over time, by just not tackling the small problems, which is just small things. Like, it's not hard to fix your diet. It's not hard to walk around that neighborhood or, walk the dog for 10 minutes. Even the smallest things, people could see massive changes over 365 days. Like, it's just insane.
People just don't believe in the compound effect,
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if you think about it, you have two guys, they both drink coffee at 7 a.m., but one of them puts milk that's from the store in a plastic bag with estrogenics and microplastics in it. And the second one drinks his coffee without milk and sugar. The second one puts milk and sugar. It might not do anything in 1 year, but if 20 years go by, all that milk and sugar every day at 7 a.m. for 20 years, that will take such a toll that they cannot even imagine. Just give it time. 100%. And it's the same with the good things, It's like, you might not think that eating 4 eggs a day now will make a difference. It will make a big difference one day. And you'll be able to tell. Hell yeah. So, compound effect, do something good for yourself every single day. And I want to ask you about stretching. How important is stretching?
Yes, I think it depends on how well. I think warm-up stretching is very important. I think every day before I start working out, I will, depending on the body part, if it's squats, I'll either just do some body weight lunges. I'll usually stretch out my hips. I'll maybe do Stairmaster for a minute or two, just all out, trying to just get blood in. But blood circulation, especially for athletic movements, is game changing. Warming up. If you did a squat day and you warmed up versus non-warmed up, I mean, it's completely different, especially for risk of injury.
Yeah.
So you think the average person, if you put them through a hamstring stretch, dude, they might not make it. They legit might, they'll probably tap out because it's so painful. So I think people should, Sundays are the days I use for stretching. I'll go to the gym. I'll do 30, 45 minutes of just an active stretch day, making sure, noticing small things. If your hip feels weird one day, you'd want to do something that day to then the next day, hopefully it feels better. Because if it's not getting better, then it's going to get worse. Something's wrong. So I think stretching's important, especially if you're doing weighted movements. If you're doing body weight, I could drop down right now and do push-ups without stretching. Risk of injury is probably not that high. But if I got under 225 bench right now, risk of injury is decently high.
So I never heard about the guy tearing his back from push-ups.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I think stretching should definitely be used for sure.
I paid for that last year when I was squatting, right? And I didn't stretch ever, right? I was going to the gym for a year and a half at this point. And I was trying to be a powerlifter, right? I had some pretty decent weights for my age at the time, 16, yeah, right? All of that. But it's I was under 130 kilo bench, which is 260 pounds, something like that, probably. I'm not sure right now.
Yeah.
And obviously, I had never stretched and I never warmed up. I just skipped it, right? So I just did a couple of sets, 6 sets in, just trying to warm up, but shitty, Anyways, my right hamstring got fucked. And for fucking 5 months, I even bodyweight squatting hurt so much, bro. And I was literally looking up on YouTube how to heal your hamstring after a fucking injury on squat or whatever. I was doing all these stretches or movements, and it got better. I can squat now. I'm not squatting what I used to, but I'm also not trying to go for the weights. I also lost 40 pounds since then because I was fat as fuck, and I was I didn't even want to have an aesthetic physique. That's what's the craziest thing about it. I was more caring about the weights than the looking good, And what the first time I saw my 6-pack in my life, that's the point where I said, you know what, fuck this bullshit. It's not worth lifting more weights just so I can have titties, man. I'm not not worth it for me. So, did you ever feel like quitting at some point?
Yeah, so funny story about quitting. So my junior year of football, I quit because I thought it was too
Mm,
hard, right? I was just like sketched out. I was like, dude, I can't do this. And
yeah.
then I remember after I quit, because my school was small, I remember like I had to almost pretend I was still on the team because of like just how embarrassing it was that I had quit the football team. Right? So I was down
Oh,
bad,
good.
tremendously down bad. And then I remember that next year I came back and that was after like I found the gym. I found like things
Mm,
that begin like transitioning my mindset into being like a different person. And I came back and I remember like I ended up starting that year. I performed very well.
mm,
Like it was such a massive change, especially the coaching staff. And that was like when I was like, I'm never quitting again because I remembered how bad it felt. Like
mm.
it literally took me like 2 to 3 months to get over quitting the football team.
Oh shit.
So I could only imagine like how someone would feel,
Yeah.
quitting on something that truly mattered to them. So then after that, I think everyone should care about fitness, but
Mm,
I was mainly just like, I'm gonna create a brand off this because I hated how I felt off
mm.
that one small decision. And then as far as like quitting the gym and like quitting social media and stuff, yeah, I mean, I feel like that every day, honestly. I feel like every day I'm like, why do I do this? But then I think like, hey, there's somebody out there that's like watching me do this.
Mm,
Like there's the same way I'm watching someone I enjoy watching, the same way someone on YouTube's
yeah.
watching me show up. And I'm like, dude,
100%.
even like there's been several videos on YouTube I watch, and that one video changes my perspective on life. Like it does
Yep.
something to your mind. Like you were talking about compounding effects, but it's through emotions and just logic. So the more you learn and the more like you
Yeah.
see, and even just one video you put out there can be like a massive perspective change
Mm,
for one person. And it's like it's crazy how much power you can have
yeah.
just even in off thinking like no one's watching you, but really they are.
Mm,
Like I remember one day, like I didn't post my push-ups in time. Like I usually post my push-ups every day around like 5 to 6, but I'd gotten
yeah.
busy in a work block and I completely forgot. Like that was a day like I didn't sleep well. Like my priorities were just out of whack. And I ended up posting them at
Mm.
like 9 or 10. And this guy slid up and he was like, yo, you didn't post your push-ups at 5 to 6. And I was like, dang, bro.
Accountability time.
Yeah, you got me, bro. I was like, you got me. I swear I did them. I just completely forgot. Then that's when I was like, wow, like there's people that they use that as their accountability. Like they
Yeah.
wake up and they look and they're like, I wonder if he's done his push-ups because I'm doing mine. And it's
Hell
like
yeah.
that's where it's like, wow, like
Yeah,
there's
man.
people watching that like don't speak up until they notice like
Mm.
something and they're like, dude, you can't fall off. Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah,
And I was
man.
like,
But that's honestly great in my opinion. Do you
yeah,
have
it's
any
awesome.
do you have any haters?
Uh I would say the biggest thing that with the fitness industry with hate would be more on like if you're a science-based guy, I don't get much hate because I
Correct you
speak
said.
more on yeah, I speak more on like mindset and like overcoming
Mm.
challenges and just using fitness as like
Yeah.
an anchor to that. But
Yeah,
like
me
a lot
too.
of the science-based guys, dude, they get destroyed because
Yeah.
it's like all the keyboard warriors are sitting there like,
Yeah.
dude, you doing this study said this and that. And those people get destroyed. That's why I've always tried to kind of stay away from that.
Mm.
Because I mean, I have a lot of knowledge science based wise, but I don't like making content on it because people will type in the comments like crazy.
Yeah.
I would say, like, for me, though, I try to keep my message very neutral. Like, I'm not too controversial, but I've had some YouTube comments where it's like, blah, blah. And I'll just usually like reply to them like,
Mm.
God bless or good luck, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
sorry you feel this way, whatever. But some people, if you hit a pain point, people are gonna comment. Like that's just what it is. But I think it's kind of funny, honestly. Like when people take the time to
Yeah.
leave like a paragraph, I think it's like funny. Like I think it's laughable.
Mm.
It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you got so upset as a grown man to leave a paragraph. Like they wouldn't even write a paragraph for their
Mm.
job. and they're doing it on Instagram, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
Holy shit. You know, like it's almost like taking energy from the universe. Like these people are
Exactly.
giving you their energy. I'm like, come to me, baby. Take it. Let me take
Exactly.
it, you know?
And you need hate, because if you're getting
Yeah.
hate, that means somebody else is loving your message, right?
That means you're doing something right. And people are
Exactly.
actually paying attention, like giving energy into it.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
100%.
Is there somebody that is inspiring you right now?
I would say inspiring me right now. I'm in a Discord with a bunch of guys that are getting after it. I think, like, especially right now, for me, it's mainly changing my environment, because the place I live now, it's not my hometown, but it's not a big city either. So I would say the biggest thing for me would be those guys inspire me because they're in that position. And I feel like I should be there, but I know there's steps I need to take to get there. So yeah, there's definitely like that Discord group, and like the network I'm in, definitely is just like motivating, because it's like, dude, you gotta work harder. Like, you gotta work harder to keep changing your mindset, keep changing your perspective, so you can get there too, or else you're gonna get left behind. And some people are gonna be like, "Oh, you shouldn't compare yourself." But I think honestly, comparison can be good. I think it can be very good, because if you never know how far behind you are, you'll just drift. Like, if I was sitting there and I'm like, I'm happy with how I'm doing right now, but there's people out there with Lamborghinis, there's people out there with happy families, stuff like that. And I didn't know that existed, because I'm in my bubble of, hey, I'm fine with where I'm at. Like, it breeds complacency, but you shouldn't also be like, you shouldn't talk negative about yourself either. You shouldn't be like, I'm behind. You should just be like, I'm on path, but I need to try harder. So it's like small reframes of your mind.
Yeah, I feel like comparison is good when you're comparing yourself to somebody that you have a chance, or is somebody that is like on your in has the same conditions as you. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. For me, there's no point in me comparing myself to a 41-year-old bodybuilder on steroids that's black and is fucking 6'5" and 300 pounds. You know, I'm 17. I'm 150 pounds. I'm European. For example, I should compare myself to another 18-year-old, 19-year-old, maybe 20-year-old guy that's natural and is about my weight and has about the same, and see, like, I came from the same conditions as this guy. Now we started fairly, for example. But there's no point in me comparing myself to fucking Chris Bumstead right now, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so that's in my opinion, so many guys like compare themselves to people that they have no chance at beating them right now because they're just too far ahead. And it's like,
exactly. So you always want to compare yourself to somebody that's just slightly ahead of you. See like what they're doing, what you can implement, and then just take that route, and eventually you'll end up there.
Yeah. I want to get into some rapid fire questions before we wrap up. So
100%.
Let's get into it. How often do you train a week?
I train personally. I enjoy 6. I know some people are like, too much. I can do 6. I enjoy 6. I like working out or doing some. I train every day, but it's not the same style of training. Like 6 days a week, Sunday, I still like walk, I still stretch. So I still consider that physical exercise. But the other 6 days, I'll do 3 super heavy, pushing weight. The other 3, I'm kind of just doing like, I'm still getting a good workout in. I'm still like hitting failure, but they're smaller muscle groups. So like the first 3 might be like my big squat, bench. I don't really deadlift that much. I do more like, I'll do RDLs heavy. I'll still get like the major compounds in, but those will be my heavy days. The other 3 days, I'm working like mobility. I'm doing, the things I'm lacking in. For me, it would be like shoulders, arms, because those are very easy to recover because they're smaller muscle groups. So I train 6 days a week, but it's like modified. So it's not like push, pull legs. It'd be more on the concept of like, this is a, let's go chest and bicep day back in whatever Like, so I modify it a lot based off either how I feel
Yeah.
or also so I have a program I run off of, but a lot of the time I'm swapping days because I don't want to waste a
Hmm.
workout day on a muscle group that's
Yeah.
still recovering.
Yeah. Honestly, I always like for the past 2.5 years, I never like really like I tried for a couple of weeks like going like this day is this day, but always
Yeah.
on that day this muscle was sore, so I couldn't. And so I like what I do to this day, and I've been doing this for the past 2 years, is like train whatever doesn't hurt. And if
Exactly. Yeah.
everything hurts, then that's a rest day, which almost never
Exactly. Yeah.
happens because there's always something that I can train. My forearms, my neck, my
100%.
my lower back, right? I can do hyperextensions, right? I can do my glutes or something, you know? But so many
Yep.
of these small things that we overlook. And even if I can't, I can still go on a walk. I can still do something. It's like every day there's something, right? And I feel like it's nice having your heart pumping some blood every single day, you know? Feel
Oh,
like
for sure. Yeah.
I feel like that's healthy. So, what's the best advice you've been given?
I would say the best advice I was given would have been from a book. And it's somewhat advice, but it's more just like a mindset shift. And it's like The Power of Now. Have you heard of that book, Eckhart Tolle?
No, I did not actually.
You
What is it
you
about?
should read that book. It's a guide to living in the present moment. That to
Mm,
me has been the most influential book because it teaches you how to like focus on now because the
mm,
majority of the thoughts we process are completely in the past and in the future.
yeah.
And it's like thinking like, hey, what am I going to do after my workout? What am I going to do tonight? What am I going to do
Mm,
this? And it's like you
yeah.
have so much power right now that
Yeah.
you like overlook it. And that's why most people are like, my life moves so fast. Like life moves so fast. It's because they don't live in the present moment. If you look at every
Yeah.
little second of the day as like intention, you can get so much done in one day.
Yeah.
Like you can crush every single day if you focus on that present
Yeah.
moment. And it keeps you kind of based off like how you feel like in that moment. Like you might get tired deep in the day and you know you're going to get tired, but if you
Mm,
feel good now, then why are you thinking you're going to get tired later? You might not, you
yeah.
know. So that's an amazing book. It teaches you how to like focus on
Mm,
now and you can control your world off the actions you do in this exact moment.
holy shit. So what was it called? The Power of Now?
The Power of Now.
Oh shit. I'm gonna take a look at that, man. I love reading books. Yo,
You
also
should check
like
it
just
out.
like being focused on now, the things that have always worked for me is having like a task list, a general task list that
Yeah.
the night before
100%.
where you're unbiased, the night before you write yourself for something for yourself tomorrow to do. Because the thing is, why I don't like to do it in the morning, the day, is because you wake up in the morning, you're tired, so now you're gonna go easy on yourself and like, like put
Yep.
some fucking, cope like some like you're gonna say I don't need to do this today, right? But it's like if you're yourself from yesterday, you don't want to disappoint him, right? So it's like that's why, in my opinion, it works like the best,
Yeah, 1,000%. I think the nighttime before you should 100% have like
Mm,
your day planned out. You're just gonna glide smoothly. Another thing that
yeah,
I'll do that will like transition my morning so much, and it seems so small, but it's not, is have everything like set out. Like I'll have my clothes set out. I'll
oh
have like
shit,
my vitamins, all that set out. And it
mm,
sounds like so crazy because like that takes like a minute to do.
yeah,
But it just streamlines you because it prevents you from thinking. Because in that
ah,
morning,
yeah,
you're trying to like keep your thoughts as much on just, being productive,
yeah,
if you're journaling or if you're doing deep work, whatever, even that small frame of mind, like where you got to dedicate 2 minutes to picking out an outfit or whatever, it keeps you just completely focused because you
yeah,
wake up, do whatever you got to do, grab your clothes real quick. It keeps the speed going. It keeps like
yeah.
that hiccup of like having to think.
Yeah, I saw a scientific video. I don't know actually the bro science behind it. It's just like the first like 20 minutes of the day is like when you actually have the time to program your mind the best. Like, it's
Oh,
like the
100%.
first
Yeah.
20 minutes of the day. That's why if you're religious, I always suggest praying when you wake up, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Actually imagining your dream life as soon as you wake up. And just
Yep.
spend like 30 seconds, 60 seconds just imagining yourself with that perfect physique that you imagine in the boxing ring, in an arena, right? For example, if that's somebody's dream, or maybe whatever that may be, right? Just imagine that even like for half a minute and then like praying for it. If you do that every single day, bro, for some reason, that just puts me in such a good mood for the day. And actually, I believe that attracts it. So, yeah. I wanted to ask you, what's the worst advice you ever received?
The worst advice would be to take someone's advice without putting it in your perspective, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of people will take advice from one person, and a lot of like people just look at what they have. Like a lot of people look at the millionaire and they think, "Oh, I got to think how he thinks."
Yeah.
Or they think like, "Oh, I got to follow his route." When in reality, you should just take the things that you like and then throw away the rest that doesn't apply to your path and just keep moving forward. Like if I saw C-Bum's advice and to me he was like said something about physique, but it was something about like gear. Like I'm not on gear, so I can't take his advice on that. But it's like I can take his advice on nutrition. So it's like you just take advice from stuff you can control in your personal life.
Yeah.
Because some certain things aren't going to apply to your path yet. You know, like if you're trying, it's a millionaire gives you advice on how to invest, but you don't have hundreds of thousands to invest. Like, how am I supposed to apply that? So it's like, be careful who you take advice from and only take like certain things that apply to you. So probably the worst advice I've been given is to take everybody's advice.
Honestly, or like be taking advice from people that you don't want to be like, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite quote if you have one?
I would say, it's the one by Hermosi for sure. It's like you don't build confidence by what is it? I have it written
By
down.
screaming affirmations in the mirror every day.
You build confidence by having a stack of undeniable wins that you are who you say you are. I think that quote is by far the most powerful because it shows you like a lot of it's really just about doing the work. And people are gonna like talk, people are gonna, tell you can't do it. But if you have action that backs it up, it's undeniable. Like say C-Bomb, people could be like, he's not an Olympian, blah blah, but he's already got 6 or 5 of them, and it's like he's already done the work. Like there's no way to hurt his self-confidence because his self-doubt would come from people saying that because he's never done it. It's like me being like, oh, I have 1 million followers. I don't have 1 million followers versus like if I did and someone was like, oh, he doesn't have 1 million followers, but you have it. Like it's not going to hurt your confidence because you've already done the back end,
Exactly. Oh, my favorite one is like, wish not for a lighter load, but for a stronger back.
Exactly. Like, that's a good one.
Holy shit. It's like, don't wish for things to get easier. Wish for you to be the man that can handle it. I feel like that's just something that I'm trying my best to live by every single day. What's the proudest moment in your life?
The proudest moment would probably be the first client I got online. 100%. I would say that was probably like my thing where it was like, dude, I can actually like not only make money online, but I can connect with an individual and help them change their lives that I've never met before. Because it's like, it's one thing to know someone in person and like be like a mentor towards them, kind of like, like a friend or a father, whatever. But being able to get somebody to trust you enough online to do it is an amazing feeling because it's like, wow, they're giving me pretty much like at least 50% of their energy on the daily because they want it that bad, which is just like an awesome feeling. That's probably like the most transformative, like, wow, this is cool.
I honestly feel like that's amazing.
And that's crazy to say because like that just shows you like materialism's not even real.
Yeah.
It's mainly just about like experiences and just like emotions. That's like what you're
Yeah.
gonna remember at the end of your life, which is crazy.
Yeah. Describe yourself in 2 words.
3 words?
Two.
Two? I would say hungry. Like I would say not ambitious and positive thinker. I know that's technically 2 words in that. But one thing I struggle with tremendously was probably positive thinking. Like, especially if you haven't reframed your mindset from being negative.
Yeah.
If you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, dude, I'm so tired. Versus you
Yeah.
wake up and you're like, I'm tired, but I get to go even harder because I feel even
Yeah.
worse. Like to me, that was like the biggest massive change in my life was living in the present and changing that about my mindset. So
Holy
I would
shit.
say
Yeah.
just those two.
Hmm. So, what's the purpose of life, in your opinion?
I think the purpose of life is to build yourself into the best version you can be at the end. And that's through like mental, physical. I mean, people are going to be controversial, but financial, of course, because you want to provide for your
Yeah.
kids,
Of
provide for your
course.
significant other, even if you leave this earth early. But I
Yeah.
think that I would say probably just never giving up. You know, always keeping a goal in mind to keep you progressing in life because you're always going to be able to progress with your emotions. You're always going to be able to progress with your discipline, with how you think, with how you speak. Everything in life you can keep progressing, even if it's like the smallest details. So I would say just keeping keeping your drive in life because you're never going to be able to hit like an end goal, right?
Yeah.
Even if you get whatever it is in your life, like you could look at Jeff Bezos or any of those top million, like Elon Musk, they're still
Those
going.
guys aren't done.
Yeah, exactly. And they have everything. They could just straight
Yeah.
up walk away from with the most money in the world. And they choose to
Yeah.
keep going because they want more out of their life. So I'd say
Yeah.
that's like what I'm after is just to
Yeah.
keep change as many lives as possible and change yourself in the process.
Yeah, like the people that say, I just want to get rich and then live on the Bahamas for the rest of my life. I'm like, dude, that's the reason why you're not going to get there. You have an end
So
goal.
purposeless. So purposeless.
Yeah, bro. Like, jerk off on the beach, bro. What the fuck is that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, fucking hell. So, this is kind of a selfish question because I'm 17, but I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give yourself to your 17-year-old self? To you when you were 17?
I would say one, no, especially as you progress from 17 to 22, you hit a massive mindset shift. A massive mindset shift. You don't look at the world at you as you used to, right? You know, people will start to expand differently as well. Like friends you might have right now, relationships, of course, you know, your career. It's all gonna like expand and you have to be willing to like accept those emotions, accept that like your life now is going to be completely different in 2 years,
Yeah.
even like depending on your inputs where you're going to be. So I would say always be like, if I was telling myself, I would say keep your purpose number one. You have to. You got to focus on building that business. You have to focus on keeping yourself healthy, you know, improving, especially when you're young. You can really stack, you know, mentalities, like stack as much information because as you build up and your brain develops when you're like 25, I think 25 to 28, your frontal lobes fully developed, you're going to just have a pocket of information to run off of. And it's like everyone loves flashing the cars, the watches, and all that. But if they haven't done the personal development, all it takes is that income stream to crash and they won't be able to handle like getting it back. So it's like building the personal development, keeping your purpose number one. And people will see that the true people you want around you and be like, he's like dedicated, but he also makes time to like make sure that I'm taken care of. So it's like keeping your purpose number one and just staying away from like bad opportunities. I see so many like young people crash and burn because it's like they either, get a DUI, like driving under the influence. They get hooked on a drug, or like just something so small could like completely shift the tide, like 1,000%. All it takes is like one night of careless action, and I've seen so many people either like in like die young, or
Yeah.
end up in jail off one stupid decision that like all they had to do was just sit there and not do. So it's like emotions are like the number one thing that can like lead someone down a bad path.
Yeah, man. Holy shit. I just wanted to mention this one quote from Justin Waller when you were talking about, the rich guys like losing it all and then they would be lost without it. Justin Waller said his best quote for somebody that just made a lot of money is, if you don't have to worry about, if you're not worried about going bankrupt about every 5 years, you're doing something wrong. Exactly, and he's basically saying that every 5 years you should be such a risk taker, right? You're worried about every 5 years about going bankrupt. That's how you get to the next level, in his opinion. Honestly, I think that's such a genius quote, honestly.
Yeah, and it's constant pressure. Pressure. And your mind's gonna like feed you thoughts of like, dude, this path, like I don't know where I'm gonna go. I don't know this. And it just like slowly opens up off your inputs. So as long as you're doing your inputs on a day-to-day basis and you're trying to improve them over a specific time period, like you'll always just keep progressing. And that's where like a lot of the business gurus lose out on potential, is because like say people learn trading, but they don't build the mindset to be able to handle those days where they lose thousands of dollars, dude, they're going to crash because like, they're like, oh, my strategy's off. When it's like, all right, your strategy's not off. Just go back at it tomorrow with a fresh mindset. Most people can't recomp from that.
Yeah.
So it's like mindset's everything. Mindset is 100% everything.
Holy shit. Ever since I started getting into crypto, like I had to get so emotionally detached from numbers. Because I get excited because my meme coin just had a 4x. So basically I put in $20 and I was 80, right? But then I could have taken it out tonight, but I'm gonna wait. And tomorrow morning it went to $2. And I'm like, I have to be like, okay, chill the fuck out. It's just numbers. So just like usually just putting in money that you don't care about, that's what I do. I don't like to put it to full port, right? To put in my last money, then you're logically gonna care about it. So
for sure.
I wanted to ask you, what's next for you now?
What's next is
going into 2025.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to build up my YouTube. Continue just building, getting more coaching clients, and then sometime next year, eventually moving. So I want to move to a new environment. That's a big thing I want to do next, and get around like I feel like there's a completely different level out in the world of just like networking, especially with just like younger people. Like our generation's absolutely killing it. Like there's some savages out there. So for me, it's like waking up earlier, putting more pressure on myself so I'm willing to handle when I'm in rooms with people like that, because there's just such a high level. And especially like if you haven't seen that level, it's so hard to picture it. But it's like you just have to keep doing the small things. So for me, it's like perfecting my morning routine, building out systems that are even better for my clients, and then eventually like being able to move out with a network, with a brotherhood, and just like continue to progress in life, continue to just be better people,
Yeah, man. Changing people's lives is amazing. So where can people find you, man?
Yeah, so they can find me. Both of my ats are J Gage Smith. So J Gage Smith on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I do them all. So they can find me on there. YouTube, I think, is the best because it's long form. So you can obviously kind of hear my mindset, what I like sharing to people. But you can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok as well. I go live on there quite a bit. So,
I feel like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok is like basically IQ ranking for people.
Facts.
Like the most intelligent people go on YouTube, actually, to be honest, most of
100%.
Anyways, all of Gage's socials are gonna be in the description, guys. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. Gage, thank you also so much, man, for
Yeah, for sure.
getting the time out of your day to do this. This is an amazing talk. I've learned a lot
Yeah,
of
it was
stuff today.
awesome, brother.
See you guys on the next one. Holy shit.